Right, it's Boxing Day. Hope you had a good Christmas. Anyone who's watching this, I had a couple of questions which surprised me on how I get some of the footage of the foxes in the middle of the night, etc., and some of the wildlife on the allotment. So for Margaret, and there's someone else who I've missed his name, this is what I use. This is what we call a swan with two ends bush camera. You can get them from Maplin's. I'm sure you get them somewhere else as well, but I got this because the wife put a little scarecrow on the plot, and it disappeared and got chewed up, and then a couple of days later she put another one on, and I decided to find out what was going on. There was also some other stuff. I'd come down here and there'd be bags of compost stripped open, etc. So I bought this little camera, and it showed me what the foxes are up to of a night time. So that's why I got it basically. It's not a bad little gadget. Bushnell do one. I think it's probably a knockoff of the Bushnell one, which is probably quite a bit dearer. I'm not sure if it works any better, I don't know, but I'm sure the Bushnell one is a lot dearer. But this works okay for what I want it to do. It is a remote camera. It's set off by movement. I went up the wrong way there. It's set off by movement. This one's the lens. That's the light sensor. One of those LEDs at the very top there is the movement sensor, and when it detects movement, even in the middle of the night through infrared, it will start recording, and you can set the amount of time you want it to record for through a menu in the screen in the back. So there's a bit of setting up to do beforehand. The instructions are the usual Chinglish. You try and make some sense out of them, but their helpline was quite good. I had a couple of attempts at it, and it does take a little while for you to get used to it working in your conditions. The camera splits up in two halves. There's two clips at each side. You pop them off, and then you see it's two halves, and on the back there is the menu on is a little screen which you can preview any footage, and also you go into the menus to set up. The left hand side there is the on-off switch. The second switch in, this one here, is for switching it from movies to stills. So you can set it up so that it will do, every time something triggers it, it will just take a snapshot of what's gone on. So I tend not to use it in that. I tend to like to see the moving footage. The next switch there is how much light you want on the subject. It's infrared, and on the front of the camera you can see two banks of infrared LEDs, and they're used to capture it. Now you can shut off one bank and just have the other, or you can have both banks on. One of the drawbacks with having both banks on, if something comes very close to the camera, it gets washed out because there's too much infrared light on it. So yeah, so I normally switch it down to the lower rating, which is 18 LEDs, which is just the top section, and that tends to work at me for middle distance. You know, you still get some burning when you get it too close to the ground, but you do see what's going on. If you have it on the bottom one, I think that's ideal for in the middle of a forest where you're looking at stuff from some distance. The last switch on there isn't relevant to this particular camera. That's for a GPS setting, and on some cameras I believe you can switch that on so that it puts a GPS stamp on every image that's taken. So that's about it. It's made from plastic. I've dropped it a few times. There's some knocks on the edges. It doesn't feel it feels like that brittle plastic you get, so I'm not sure how much of a drop it will take, and as I say, I'm sure it's probably a knockoff of the Bushnell one. But as I say, it works fine for me. You know, I'm not a professional or anything like that. I just do it for a bit of fun and see what's going on. It is all sealed up, and it does take a lot of batteries. There are 4 goes in this unit here, and they go in through the bottom. That's where the SD card goes. Let's just undo that, and that's all sealed. There's a rubber strip in there, and in there you can see you've got the SD card. There's a USB port on there. There's a port there to go straight into the telly, and there's another port there for the to put a 12 volt DC power supply into it. Not very good if you want to go remote, unfortunately, but and this here is all sealed with a rubber seal, so it looks to be watertight. I don't feel it myself. It just seems a little bit too I don't know what the word is, but it just doesn't feel quality. The back part, this is the part you connect to your post, tree, or whatever you're connecting to. There's also a bank of batteries in there. There's 4 batteries in this one here, so that feeds the main light unit. You've got 4 in here, so you can run that on its own, but when you put that on there, it gives you a longer life. Now, I had heard that these lights go through a lot of batteries, but I have to say, once you've fed it 8 AA batteries, I've been using this now for the best part of 6 months. Not every day, but just when stuff's going on. And I've got a few hours of footage on now. I've been using this, for 6 months, and I've not had to change a set of batteries in it yet, so it's still working all right. And I've not come down to find that the batteries have run out and I've missed everything. So I normally catch it. So yeah, I won't be put off by the batteries. I think the price of this was about 150 quid or thereabouts, which is, although pricey, is a shave off, quite a shave off of the Bushnell one. And as I say, I mean, if you're going out walking into forests and you want to use your images, I'm sure the Bushnell one's the way to go. But if you're a hobby, it's just a hobby for you, then this one's fine. So you connect that all back up together, and then that's ready to go. Really, once you've switched on. I've done that many times, put it all together, and then remember that I haven't actually switched it on. So I'm going to set this up today. I'm going to put it on the a post I've got next to my greenhouse, and I'm going to put some eggs out because the foxes love the eggs. So hopefully I'll catch some footage of that for you, and you can see how it works. I'm not sure myself. They love the eggs, and I didn't catch them last time because one of the drawbacks of the camera is the lens misting up. It mists up on the outside, but it's not something that I can control. It's I get that if we have a particularly damp night, the sun comes up and we get condensation on the lens, and then you can't actually see. You just get blurs of what's going on, which I don't know if there's a coating they can put to the lens or they haven't put on the lens to help this, but it certainly does mist up, and you have to be careful where you point the camera, because if you point it towards where the sun's going to come up, then in the morning you're going to get nothing, because it just overpowers the camera. So I tend to point it away from sunrise anyway. It doesn't seem to like it when it's switching over from infrared to daylight. But the images of a daylight are very good. They're full colour and they work out quite well. So I'm going to set this up now. I'm just going to give the lens a wipe, because I see there's a bit of crud in the corner of the lens. So I'm going to give the lens a wipe and set it up, and then put the eggs out and show you what we've done. And then later on I'll come back and get it, and hopefully we'll have some pictures of the foxes nicking the eggs. Right, I've now set the camera up, and it's just on a post at the end of a little patch next to my greenhouse. So I'll put the eggs down here in front of the camera, and with a bit of luck, when I come back later, we should catch the foxes nicking the eggs. And now Alfie's not all that keen on eggs, so we're all right to leave them there. Right, that's be 3 eggs put down in front of the camera. So we'll come back later on, little Christmas present for the foxes there, and hopefully we'll catch them taking the eggs. Right, bit of a worry, because the eggs have gone, but so has the camera. Now I'm hoping that the foxes have pulled the camera out, which is what I was worried about. Yesterday I put the 3 eggs in there, they've gone. The camera was there. Now the camera's laying on its side over there, which would suggest to me that the foxes have been playing tug of war with the camera. So there we go. I knew this would happen. Alfie, come out of the way, because it's quite a lot of strap left over what you tie it up with, and I normally tie that up because the young foxes we got here, they seem to grab stuff, and I think what they've done, they've probably pulled the strap in and had a go in a tug of war with it and pulled it out of its post. So there we have it. So I'm hoping that they've taken the eggs before they took the post, because once the dog gets out of the shot, yeah, that's what I'm hoping's happened anyway. But I don't know, but so I'll have a look and see what we've got. As you can see, very frosty. It's been laying on its side since I don't know when. What we'll probably get is loads of foot shots of their feet walking past, but you can see by the amount of frost on it how cold it is over here. But the lens is clear, so we might have something, so we'll have a look. Well, I've picked it up and wondered what the smell was. It looks like the foxes have been peeing over it as well, so there may be some rather graphic shots on the camera, but we'll have a look when I get it back. Luckily enough, I had a carrier bag up here, because I picked it up and it smells of smoke, but that's obviously where the foxes have been. They've pulled it over, knocked it on the floor and decided to pee all over it, so which is something they tend to do. I've watched them here with the there was a football they used to play with over the back there, and that's all they did, was they'd roll it around and then pee over it. But anyway, I've got my camera. I knew that would happen one of these days, but still. Right, I'll take it back home and let's see what we've got. Thanks for watching. So you can see we got the footage we was after. You can see what I said about the infrared. By turning that down, even on the lowest setting, when the fox walks closer to the camera, it sort of burns it out a little bit. Certainly the last shot of the fox pulling the camera over, you can see he was standing in front of it because it all went white. I think the noise gave most of it away with him tugging away there. But as I say, Swan bush cam, alright for the hobbyist, great for gardens and stuff like that if you've got intruders in the night for animals, etc. The only drawback is, you know, I'm sure I'm going to come in one day, one of the days I'll set it up, and the little darlings from around here will have been over and taken it, because you know, there's not really a way of securing it. We put it on a post, the fox can have it over some some 14-year-old scrote can probably have it away pretty easy. The only good thing is it will be dark, and he probably wouldn't notice it, because it doesn't give off any lights or anything like that while it's working. It just it's there. But yeah, okay, thanks for watching. Comments down below, all comments gratefully received, positive or negative. I'm new at this, so any criticism, please go ahead. Thank you very much.